was the chair.
Welcome to Honeydew Me. I'm Cass.
I'm Emma, and I'm not tooting.
And I'm not tooting.
I feel like it's important to clarify that.
We're a sex podcast that's currently in our summer rewind.
Mm-hmm.
So normally we talk about all the sex things with all the experts. And for the summertime, we are rewinding to some of our favorite episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be back full blast in September, jerking you off. So.
Jerking you off and riding you hard.
Riding you hard.
It's funny because we just don't really talk like that ever.
I know.
Except for when we're introducing the podcast.
Except for when I have a mic in my face.
Yeah. And then it's all about deep throating and getting in my ass.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to make you comfortable, the listener.
I'm just trying to let you know that I'm right on your level.
Yeah. I'm relatable. No one gives a shit. Like who?
One person did comment and said these are the biggest mics they've ever seen in their entire lives.
Really?
I find that hard to believe.
Also, because, like,
Maybe we're just really small.
pretty. I'm just tiny, like a little fairy.
So small. I just blow away in the wind.
I blow right away.
It's so hard.
Maybe that's what it is. Our small little hands.
But it's fine because I'm neutral about it.
Because I'm neutral.
That's a reference to last week's episode. And if you didn't listen, fuck you.
Fuck you. I was going to say something about, shoot. What have we done recently? I had a funny story for it. Oh, well, it wasn't really funny, but I made Cass watch a very lovey-dovey episode of Black Mirror last night. And it was really
cute.
Really cute. Which makes me wish that I could, like, actually live out an episode of Black Mirror where you can experience some of the technology, like being transported to the 80s, 90s, and...
Well, hold on long enough and...
Yeah. You never know.
You might get your damn wish.
But I think it'd be cool. Some of the episodes
reason,
I don't want to be in. But
I thought you were going to talk about falling down the stairs.
I wasn't.
Show them your bruise. Your butt bruise.
Let me drop some trow on you.
Head over to YouTube. Emma's going to drop some serious trow.
No. Well, I was at a wedding a week ago, and as I had changed into my pajamas, and I was in my fuzzy little slippers, I slipped going down hardwood floor.
Like, these are the
stairs.
hardest hardwood floors, too.
Yeah.
Like, if we dropped a lot of shit that weekend,
yeah, we did.
it would just shatter.
I know.
Like,
it wasn't
oh
even
my
like,
God.
beep, beep, boop.
No.
It was like we had chucked it at the ground.
Mhm.
So I fell going down the stairs, hit my elbow, which you can't see.
It's not nearly as bad elbow-wise as it was when you fell out of the tree.
Yeah, you could say that. My ass is as bad as my arm was, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So my butt has like a stair-long bruise across it. It's like green, purple with dark marks. It's like really bad, and it hurt to sit down at work. It was like painful, but I'm a week out now, and it's getting a little better. It's tender,
God.
but a little bit better.
God.
I showed Cass a picture of my butt, and the way I was positioned in the mirror, it's hard to get... when you're not trying to get a flattering picture of your ass, taking one nonetheless is
Difficult.
not easy. So I had pulled up my shorts to my chin, and
As you do.
I tried to take a picture. Couldn't orient myself in the picture.
So by pulling her shorts up to her chin, she means like in her butt crack.
But then you just couldn't really understand which side was front and back and where the butt was.
I had no idea what was going on. It was just green and purple.
I wish I could show anybody, but you'd have to pay for that.
But if you're willing,
If you're willing, send me the money.
$70,000 for one butt bruise picture.
Someone's out there signing a check.
Yeah. Oh, I've been waiting.
Found my niche. Butt bruise. But I'm neutral about it.
But I'm totally neutral. Okay, let's get into this summer rewind.
Yeah.
The episode I chose this month is Going Down with Luna Matatas.
Mm-hmm.
I find that when somebody is going down on me, that is the time I have a lot of difficulty being body neutral towards myself. I'm worried about how I look, taste, smell, all of those kinds of things. So that's why I felt like it would be a really fun one to pair with Brenna's episode. And Luna is just the best.
Luna.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We love Luna. We're obsessed with Luna.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she just gave the best advice. And you were an OG listener, you remember Homework for Honeys.
Oh, ouch.
It's such a cute idea, though.
It's a cute idea, but the jingle we made for it.
Why couldn't we just say Homework for Honeys?
And then not only did we make a jingle, which we could have just like post-production popped in. We made the interviewee sit, pause, while we played the jingle in the episode.
Homework for Honeys.
Dun, 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 dun. It was just like,
oh, God.
So awkward. Anyway, yeah. What were you going to say?
She just gave the best homework. I loved it so much.
I don't remember it, so I'm excited to... Wait, no, this wouldn't be that episode. Is it? Can we take out Homework for Honeys?
What are you talking about?
Going down, is this the one with Homework for Honeys in it?
Yeah. So we're leaving it, bitch. You'll get to experience it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I thought we would have edited that out by now. Okay. All right.
You're welcome.
Woo!
It's like endearing.
Okay.
Because we recognize that it's like
cringy.
Yeah. But also, like, it's okay to be cringy.
I'm crawling out of my skin right now.
Because it's your voice that's
recorded.
recorded.
Okay, you had to throw that in there. You cannot distinguish between us sometimes, but the fact that you had to throw that in.
Well, apparently we can distinguish enough for somebody to respond on fucking Spotify and say, I really like Emma's voice. Sorry. How do you know it's Emma?
That's what she said. So instead of just giving me the compliment, she's like, yeah, no one can ever tell us apart, so how do they even know it's you? I was just like, okay.
You're not even that good anyways.
So funny. Pardon?
Pardon?
Pardon? Okay, pop off,
whatever.
I guess.
I like your voice too.
Oh, God. Yours is fine.
It was just really like, whatever.
Whatever.
I looked. There were none about mine. I went through all the episodes.
So if you haven't caught on Cass's fishing and drop a comment.
Everybody's like, yeah, we don't like her voice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad someone said it.
Yeah, thank God. Take the fucking hint and shut up.
Fucking hint. God. So on that note, God, enjoy Luna Homework for Honeys, and we'll see you on the other side.
Bye.
Bye.
So I'm Luna Matatas. I'm a sex and pleasure educator, which means that I get to go around talking with people about how to get their desires met and building communication and supporting their erotic creativity. And I've been teaching sex ed for, I keep saying 10 years, but I think it's closer to maybe 12 or 13 years. And in the beginning, I was teaching from a health promotion perspective, and everyone still really wanted to know about pleasure and how do I do the thing and how do I feel the thing. And so I'm so lucky to be able to get to teach people online and hopefully offline again someday. And along with my approach to pleasure, I've got this wonderful plethora of sex positive and feminist merchandise. And so I'm the creator of Peg the Patriarchy and Don't Tell My Mom and and Meditate, Medicate, Masturbate, because I do teach a lot of cannabis and sex workshops as well.
That is more and more common with the people that we're talking to about cannabis and sex. And I love the merging of the two. Yes. How would you do your work in person? Do you have like classes or workshops? What do you do in person?
Yeah, well, before everything went online, before our Zoom lives, I was teaching in mostly feminist and sex positive shops. And so I would teach workshops there or at sex clubs or at private parties. Sometimes people really enjoy kind of just getting together with their friends to learn something and have these conversations.
Well, that's the best environment to kind of facilitate it because you're a little bit more relaxed and then you're having someone who knows what they're talking about come in and tell you all the things that are really fun to talk about.
Yes. It always starts out real shy and then it goes into anal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you're like, well, I have a question. Then it just starts going off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love when the conversation turns to anal. Like most of ours do these days.
That's how you know they're good.
Yeah.
If the conversation doesn't turn to anal, I don't want it.
I don't want it.
Over it.
So we really want to get into, you know what? We've actually been struggling with names for oral sex for people with vulvas. Eating out feels like not something that we love saying, but like cunnilingus feels very
Like
formal.
textbook. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a good word for it?
I tend to, especially if I'm speaking in an audience where I'm not sure what their gender is, or if there's a mix of people, I tend to refer to it as either going down or I know giving head has been usually referring to going down on penises, but lots of people are reclaiming a lot of this language because it's so sort of normalized that we go down and give head to penises, but you know, vulvas are still really lacking the good eating out or going down. Yeah.
Going down is a little bit better. I
Yeah.
like that a little bit more.
Yeah, it feels
Going
right.
downtown.
Yeah, to make it fun and feisty.
Right.
Well, now that we have the name, in terms of going down, we really wanted to start out by busting through some shame before we get into logistics, because we don't want people to be thinking like, okay, that's great, but this is what I'm really worried about. So I think where we wanted to start out was smell and taste and shame around smell and taste. What is your take on that?
Yeah, I love that you're starting there because I feel like this is the question that's kind of subconscious for people when they're talking about, well, I don't know if my partner likes it, or I'm too shy to ask, or I can't relax in it. It's a lot about our self-judgment around our bodies and what they're naturally doing. You know, our bodies are beautiful and they're disgusting. So, you know, we've got this kind of this mix. And when we take things into an erotic situation, it can often feel like we're battling with that sanitation and hygiene stuff that we've learned. And then, oh my God, this feels so good. And I want to do all the sexy thing. So my take on it is that any shame that you have around what you smell or taste like, you learned. So we have an entire billion-dollar industry, right? You can walk into any drug mart, any drugstore, and you're going to see a feminine hygiene aisle. There is no equivalent masculine hygiene aisle. So we've got an industry that's built on misogyny, and then we internalize that. We internalize it to say that, oh, our bodies should smell like lavender and vanilla. Your body should not smell like lavender and vanilla. The vagina is self-cleaning. It's got its own little ecosystem of bacteria, and it cleans things out. So actually, we don't need any internal cleaning at all. That was just an industry designed to prey upon insecurities that were created around our genitals. And, you know, there is no equivalent industry for like making testicles and penises smell like cupcakes and steak, right? Like,
Like a whole steak dinner.
Yeah. And if we made this product and we put steak dinner on the shelves, it would not sell, right? Like there is no insecurity around it. There is no, oh, I need to be super steaky fresh to be able to like get a blowjob, right? Yeah.
Smell like A1 down there. Snake and taters.
Snake and taters. There you go. You should brand this.
Oh my gosh.
So a lot of people struggle with this, I think. Yeah.
And then how to have that like conversation too with your partner. Like what if they comment on maybe your smell or your taste? Like I feel like that can be really like it throws you off too, because like that's what makes you think about it more.
Yeah. And I think this comes with, you know, if you are comfortable with your scent and taste, you will know if there's changes. And so a lot of times we've been told that if there's a scent that it's either unhygienic or it's infected. And that's not true. I mean, if you spend some time throughout the month in your cycle, your menstrual cycle, just noticing what your scents are, like I smell my panties. I'm like, oh yeah, that's like ovulation time. That's like, oh, pre-period. And so I'm aware of what my normal scents are at any sort of given cycle. And so if your partner says to you like, oh, like, can you like freshen up or can you do whatever? And usually they're not saying it like that. I mean, like a freshen up is a reasonable request, but remembering that people are into all different types of scents. Some people love extra scent, right? And so there isn't this sort of natural kind of, oh, you should be completely scentless. So I think if you own your scent and your partner says something about it, then it becomes like, oh, okay, do I need to freshen up? Or are you kind of, you got to hang up around scent and I'm now internalizing that to feel bad about myself? Because I mean, partners without vulvas have also been taught the same garbage that you're supposed to smell like cupcakes and whatever. And so they're also unlearning stuff, and it really helps to stand in your own knowledge and trust what you know about your body, and then be able to say, oh, okay, like, so is it, and you could smell yourself, you know, taste yourself, smell yourself, see what that's like, and determine whether or not it's an odor that's indicative of something or it's just like your scent.
Right.
I think that's great. We've had an educator tell us like, "Oh, taste yourself" before, and we like
Scares the
went
shit out of
beet
me.
red.
Yeah.
The
That's so
second she
cute.
said it, we were just like, "Okay."
Yeah.
We had never. We're a little deeper into this now, so like,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes total sense that you would taste and smell and be like, "Yeah, I'm good." If like you said, not to put anything inside of yourself, but what are like the hygienic practices that you should be engaging in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And I also want to say it makes sense that you would go beet red. You know, like this is something, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my God, because we've been taught so much about like, this is gross, you're disgusting, hide your thing, don't even call it by its like medical anatomy name. Like, just like, there's so much shame around it on so many levels. And so it is really a process of unlearning. With your hygiene, you should be using just a gentle, mild soap on the outside of your genitals. So your vulva, so the labia, the external part of the clitoris, and the external part of the vagina. So you're really just using soap and water. I've had questions from people around, well, when I'm on my period, should I be like flushing out like whatever's inside? And the thing is that, I mean, we have gravity, right? So everything's like coming out that needs to come out. And that's why we have stains on our panties. That's why we have this like cleansing of our vaginal fluids and juices. And so you don't need to get up in there, because you're probably actually pushing more bacteria up when it's trying to get out. And so your finger might inadvertently be disturbing the vaginal bacteria that's there, but also drying out that tissue in your vagina, which makes you more susceptible to bacteria and infections anyways.
Vagina knows best, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
They're going to
Yes.
it's going to do what it needs to do. And that's just what I keep learning over and over again. It's that
Yes.
stop putting things up in and around that are just pushed on you by like Target brands or something, you know?
Yes.
So it's like, we don't need to do that. One last like shame thing that I know that I think about is grooming as well, which I think is something that stays in people's heads. So I don't really care if personally, I love not shaving. I think it looks better than shaving all the time. But I would totally be self-conscious around a partner with like hair down there. So how to like work through your grooming stuff. Also, I don't know what people are doing anymore in quarantine. Is
Right.
not shaving still a thing? Like, what are we all doing? What are we coming out of here with?
That's such a good question. Yeah, I know. We should find out what people are doing. I think that a lot of times we also equate hairlessness with hygiene, and that's also not true. I mean, we are adults and we're adult mammals, and so we are growing hair on our bodies, and the hair does serve a purpose. And so when we're thinking about sexual attraction or does it feel good or does it look cute? I mean, oftentimes we're measuring what looks good on our bodies based on what we've seen in porn.
Right.
And so porn is performative. I mean, your hair and my hair and our makeup doesn't look like what actors look like day to day, right? I mean, I have dark circles, we have wrinkles, we have lots of other things. And but porn has really been a lot of most people's exposure to any kind of, I hesitate to say sex education, but that's where they're learning sex from. And so we want to represent what the sexiness and the desirability is in porn and the bodies that are there. So ultimately, I think it's up to you and what you feel comfortable with. And when I'm engaging with a new partner, and if they say something like, oh, like, do you shave? I'll be like, no, I touch it the most and I like it hairy. So, you know, this is what's comfortable for me. And likewise for partners, I say to them, you know, what makes you feel hottest? Because you're going to feel the most comfortable if you do have razor burns, do you have ingrown hairs, do you have like, you know, all these kinds of things that come with shaving and maintaining. And so really think about pubic hair as fashion. It's just fashion. That's all it is. And it comes in and out of fashion. And particularly for people who are femme or we're just sort of, you know, kind of following like what femmes are supposed to do or feminine, there is an infantilization of women and femmes in society thanks to patriarchy. And so a lot of this hairlessness, I mean, if you like it and it's your preference, that's cool. But if you want to interrogate it and think about like, do I feel more sexy or more attractive because I've done this thing for somebody else, then that's where you can have a chance to actually reclaim your power and be like, well, I'm a grown ass person. You know, do I like this or don't I like this? You know, for me, it feels very much about this kind of misogynistic, the pressure for it, not whether or not you have a bare vulva, but the pressure to remove all hair from our bodies.
Right.
it's another big ass industry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love thinking about it as fashion because it's like, no, this is just what I like. And maybe you like to dress the same too. I don't know. But
I don't
maybe, hopefully you like the way I dress and my fashion choices.
I love that we're talking about all of this because I used to hold a lot of shame around like oral sex on me. Like I would say no all the time, even though I did want it, just because I was so scared of how I looked, how I would smell, how I would taste. And it just like in my head, I'm like, no, that's gross. Like that's just gross. Why would I do that to a partner? Which is so like, I was clearly taught that somewhere and through like all of this messaging that there's something inherently wrong with me. So I'm so like, with the partner that I've had for the past 4 years, it's been so much better because I was able to brush past that and we were able to actually have all of those conversations about each and everything. And now it's like I just get to enjoy it. But even before I would say yes, and it was like that's what I'm thinking about the entire time. So I'm so glad that we're like really busting through all the shame.
Yes. Yes. And I love that you communicated with your partner about it because it's okay to put the shame on the table and be like, hey, I'm trying to get more comfortable with this thing, you know, and this is how I feel about it. This is what I've learned. And, you know, I just ask for your empathy as I work my way through this.
Exactly.
And because you give such great advice and are making me feel better, one last thing I have is I used to be also really uncomfortable with like how wet I would get. Not so much during sex, but when they're going down on me. And I would be self-conscious, like trying to like dry myself off sometimes or like feel like, okay, like you can come back up because like I know it's probably a lot or something. So how to kind of like push through that too a little bit if being too wet is something you're self-conscious about.
Ooh, yeah, that's another one that I hear a lot. And even though wetness is like such a great sign of arousal, it's such a great sign of that you're enjoying things. And if wetness isn't present, it's not necessarily a sign that you're not enjoying things. But I think with partners, often we're assuming that they're kind of adhering to the same kind of voices and nonsense that we have heard in our heads. And to us, it makes perfect sense. It's like, why would you want to like get all messy? Like, why would you, you know, it's going to be slobbery. It's like, it's not. And the thing is, it's like, again, it kind of goes back to porn where we've seen like everything be very sanitized, right? Like no one is, unless it's like, that's a particular fetish or something that you're looking at, but like everyone is pretty much, no one's farting, no one's sweating, you know, no one's falling off the bed. No one accidentally gets their period. Like it's like this is kind of, we've seen sex be so performative but reality is sex is really messy. And it very much is part of the sexiness for some people for it to be messy because it's like, I want more of you. I want to get my face in there. I want you all over my face. And so some people find that really hot. Like it's very much an arousal thing for them to be messy. And I think I would bring it up with partners. I'd say, you know, I get really wet and I'm not sure like how you feel about it, but sometimes I feel shy about it. So it's okay to ask for reassurance and get them as you're building your own confidence. I think eventually you can get to the point where you're just like, this is my body, this is what it's doing. I had a partner once, or it was a one night stand, and someone made me squirt with their fingers, and then they were like, I was like, oh, like, do you want to go down on me? And they were like, well, I would have, you know, before it got all messy. And I was like, oh, I'm like, well, it's time for you to go then, you know, get the fuck out. Like,
Absolutely.
none of this body shame here. Like, get out. Like, I got mine, so bye. Like,
oh my God.
Oh, it's time for you to leave then.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's hilarious.
See you never.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, because like that's kind of what I was thinking about too. It's like, at what point is it a red flag when they're commenting too much on your body? Like, at what point is it just preference, and what point is it like, no, you're shaming me for just my body and how that works? And it's like, when you're making me feel bad for the pleasure you just gave me, like, because it wasn't cinematic enough for you, it's like, that's silly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so true. I think like, and that can be really hard to discern in the moment because you're so vulnerable.
Right.
You know, you're naked and you're trying to get this person to like you. You're trying to get pleasure. And oftentimes people are saying things that they actually think are true, right? Like there's so many myths about vaginas and what they do and what they don't do. And so most people are pretty uneducated about them, whether they have one or not. I think what you said sounds like it would be something to kind of say, hey, you know, this is making me feel bad. Like what you're saying is making me feel bad about my body. This is just what my body does. Before I kicked out Loser, I was like, oh, this is just what my body does. Like I can't control whether or not how much I squirt. It's not a button that I just like a lever, like
open. Yeah. Ready.
Yeah. And we tend to see much more in porn. We see much more semen on people's faces and bodies, right? It's okay to have semen all over the place, but it's not okay to have vaginal fluid. So
that's so true.
So true.
God. Oh my God. Okay, you brought up another question for me because you talked about like getting your period during sex. What about like going down on someone when they have their period? Because I feel like that's super taboo because that just mixes all the things together.
All of the things.
Yes, you're so right. So first of all, it's not inherently unhygienic to go down on someone who has their period. I mean, if you're comfortable with other body fluids, if you don't have a fear of blood, all blood, but a lot of people have a problem with it specifically because it's menstrual blood. And so that's kind of different, right? I mean, if you have this sort of reaction to any kind of blood, that's understandable. You wouldn't want to go down on someone. If it's just an ick factor, if you're kind of like, oh, you're on your period, that's something that you can work through if you have an interest in working through that. And I think that there's such a challenge for everyone because we've learned all of this stuff around that periods are unhygienic, that periods are dirty, that this is a time that's an untouchable time. And so there's a challenge for both people in kind of moving through that. But you can, if you're not into blood, you can also do oral sex on someone who has their period by using barriers. And so you can use a dental dam so that you're not, there is no blood coming out. You can also use a tampon and focus specifically on the clitoris, or a diva cup or something like that where the blood is contained. There are also sex tampons. They're like sex sponges. And so they go up and they sit up around the cervix, and then you're able to have penetrative sex because a lot of diva cups are pointy, so you can't have
I've never heard of that before.
I've never heard of the sponge. I will say that, and this is funny because you and our other friend asked me if I'd ever had somebody go down on me on my period, and I said no. But then a week later, my partner is super unfazed by anything like that. And I was honestly the one who was like, I don't know, like that seems like a lot. But we did do it with a diva cup, and I've been using a diva cup for like a lot of years, like 6 years. And it was great, and it was totally fine, and there was no blood. And it was just
on
like
the outer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've literally never thought of that solution, but it makes so much sense because, and I will get into it, but for me, focusing on going down is like clitoral. So it's like that would make sense to, block, barricade up the vulva and
Close the floodgates.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I feel like that's a really great transition into going into getting down.
Yeah.
So,
the how of it.
The how of it. So let's start with literally the how of initiating going down on someone. What are some good tips to like make it sexy instead of just like, now I'm going, like falling down in, So what are some good tips?
Yeah, I think that starting with other things that the person really likes. So if they're into, kissing is like 90% of sex for me. I love kissing. I think it's so great. So if they're into kissing, if they're into neck kisses, if they're into cuddles, if they're into dirty talk, eye gazing, whatever they're into, so that we're bringing that level of arousal up in the body already, even before you go down there. And that allows your brain to also sink into these sensations and cue more blood flow to your area. And so that feeling of like a pussy boner, that fullness, that's your clitoris getting erect. And so we want it to already be activated and ready for us by time we get down there with our mouths and our fingers. And I think a lot of people get stuck in like this menu of, okay, we're going to kiss a little bit, then I'm going to kiss your tits, and then I'm going to go down on you. And so we want to keep someone guessing. You don't want to repeat the same kind of order of things, or even the speed or the pressure. So use things like pauses and use tease, use seduction, kiss parts of their body that are hot spots, but aren't necessarily the go-to hot spots. So things like necks, ears, armpits, sides of bodies, stomachs, chests, like all these areas that we kind of just pass over. But those are areas that also get more sensitive as we get more aroused. And so they become like these little receptors for pleasure. And so by the time you get down there, you're still trying to tease. And so that might mean you're kissing the inner thighs, or you're using your hands on inner thighs. You might cup the vulva with a cupped hand so that you're kind of just like, hey, I'm here, like, hello, anybody home? And then I would look up at your partner and just tell them like how hungry you are for them, right? Like, I am so hungry for you. I can't wait to get down on you. And that's also, that might make them, you two are smiling so cute. It's going to make them do that. And then that's going to bring them into their body and out of their head. So anything about like, oh, what if I smell? What if I smell? And you look down and your partner's like, I cannot wait to get your clit in my mouth. That's going to allow you to relax into it. So I think as givers, we really want to focus on giving more than technique. We want to give seduction. We want to give reassurance. We want to give enthusiasm for going down on someone. And then you're going to get into the clitoris is, so this is the funny thing about hair, is that often people are like, oh, I don't want to go down on you if you have hair. The clitoris is not hairy. So all that tells me is that you don't know where the clitoris is.
Here's what I've learned about you from that. You just revealed yourself.
Please.
And bye. Time to go. So at that moment, you can kind of hover and tease the clitoris. You might want to use the clitoral hood. It's important to start approaching the clitoris rather than like going straight for it, because it's so sensitive, and often direct contact with that, I call it pornolingus. It's like that pointy tongue that we see in porn that's like, nobody is coming from that. So, like, stop doing pornolingus. But that hovering, that sort of circling the sides of the clitoris, maybe using your fingers and checking in with your partner. Would you like it harder, softer, faster, slower? That's an easy way to get feedback on like where to go next.
Mm-hmm. I think kissing and warm up, the things that you talked about, are so important, because yes, I'm with you that kissing is like 90% of what can turn me on in a moment. And then the warm up and the teasing to go down there, it's just so it's wonderful. That would get me in the mood too. And I think more people who are interested in going down on other people need to start doing a little bit of research on how to elongate that process of the teasing, the seduction, and how to make it the most enjoyable and getting people out of their heads. Like complimenting, hell yeah, that'll get me right out of my head. I love that.
Yes.
That would immediately do it for me.
Yeah, because I feel like it shouldn't, I don't know, we have this like on our list to talk about later, but timing, I think, is something that I worry about. And so like timing in two different ways. One, like, I don't just want it to be like a step on the way to something else. I don't want it to be like a really quick, I'm just going to lick you down there and then we'll move on. And I want it to like, I don't know, if I'm enjoying myself, I want it to last a long time. But then when I'm up here, I'm also like, fuck, is that taking too long? Like, are they drowning? Like, what's going on? Can they breathe? I don't know.
If they die, they die.
That's fair. It's a respectful death if they die between
an
the legs.
honorable death.
But yes,
Soldier. Tip my hat to you.
Off.
You die with a purple heart for that one.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I think that's such a performance thing too. It's so tied into I should orgasm, or I should be done by this point, or I am taking too long. And if we look up any article within the last 10 years around going down on people with vulvas, it's going to, a lot of them are going to start with vulvas are really complicated. Vulvas are really whatever. And so we've internalized that too. And it's not that it's complicated. It's that science didn't bother to look at the pleasure anatomy of vulvas. And so all we we learned was vulvas like penises. When we know that lots of people enjoy penetrative sex and lots of people don't, and lots of people don't have sex with penises and they're still having orgasms and great sex. So there is this internalized, again, misogyny around, like something's, my body needs to please somebody else on their timeline. And to get selfish in your pleasure, it feels like, even to me, even to say it feels terrifying. It feels terrifying to be responsible for and own your pleasure. And we can call it selfishness. That's how it typically is branded, but it is really more about just being accountable for what your body wants and what your body likes. And so if your partner goes down for 3 seconds, and I've been with these people too, and they watch that, that's also what's in porn, right? It's like lick, and then, penetration. So you can always say, oh, your mouth felt so good. Like, can I have some more of that? Can you keep down there? Like, I am just loving with your face between my thighs, and like really showing your enthusiasm for that type of pleasure. And if they're like, oh, like I'm done, I'm not into that, and they want to move on to what they want to move on to, you can still redirect into something that is more pleasurable for you. So I know lots of us go along to get along. I've done it too, and I've not wanted to speak up in that moment. And I hear a lot of feedback around, especially cis women, talking about, like, I don't want to hurt my partner's feelings. I don't want to make them feel rejected. As women, we've also been taught to minimize our needs, that our needs are a burden, that we are inherently, difficult, or we can't take up too much space. And so we've been taught to be not intimidating and not threatening. So the slightest, move towards, hey, I would like this thing a little bit longer, feels, incredibly powerful. And so there is a bit of unlearning and sitting with that discomfort that when you own your pleasure, someone else might not be on board. And so is that your problem or their problem? It really is about, like, are they actually interested in your pleasure, or are they interested in warming you up to use you for what they want to do, right? And there's this idea of giving sex instead of getting sex from someone.
It gave me chills when you mentioned we've only been told that everything is complicated for vulvas and vaginas. It's like, that's so true, because that's all you think about. You're like, oh, it's going to be harder for me to get off, so I'll just make this as fast as I can because I know that I'm more complicated. Like, that is so true, that that's something we all internalize and that we try to make up for, and like it's our fault. Like, so we're like, oh yeah, so just don't go down as long. It's fine.
I feel like we say that about like femmes in general.
Yes.
It's just like, you're more complicated. Your feelings are more complicated. So like, you have to give like masculine folks a break, because like they're just not going to get it. And so that's your responsibility. And it's like, I don't think so.
It's not my fault that you're stupid.
No.
False. It's not my issue.
No.
I think this was all so important to get out of the way before we dive into pleasure, because like receiving pleasure, we have to get the shame and the things that keep us in our head out of the way first. Now we can all really dive into pleasure and how to get the pleasure out of it.
Yeah, and one question that came up for me was asking, because I know I used to be really scared to ask for it. So is there ways to like, do you just like stare in a mirror and practice? Like, I don't know. I think I just started like doing it because I was so comfortable with my partner. But I know not everybody's in a super long-term relationship with a like super, I guess he's like pretty open to a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be so different for everyone, asking for that.
Yeah. I think asking for it definitely takes practice. You're right. I mean, you can practice in front of the mirror. You can practice asking for other things that are maybe not so high stake. So maybe you want to kiss a little bit longer. Maybe you want to cuddle more. Maybe you want to hear dirty talk. And so practicing taking up a little bit more space in your sexual experiences 100% builds your sexual confidence. Because you're like, I belong here in this erotic experience, free from self-judgment about what I actually need. And I think there is also ways to do it even over text. So if you're not comfortable doing it, I mean, when I'm on dating apps and if something is going sexual, that's the first question I ask. I'm like, are you a pussy eating champ? And if they mention anything about hygiene, or if I feel like it, I'm like, unmatched. Like, we're not, and I didn't used to be like that. I used to kind of try and negotiate and barter with my pleasure. And a lot of times we're bartering for emotional attraction. Like we want someone to like us, desire us, see us as sexy. We want to be validated in this experience. And, when you're able to do that for yourself, then you can still receive it from other people, but you can have this sort of foundation of like, I'm just over here feeling myself. What do you want to join me? And if you're joining me, like, what are you bringing to the table? Like, what are you offering? Yeah. Like, I'm a goddess. Stop approaching me without an offering.
Don't come empty-handed, bitch.
But yeah, I think sometimes it's okay to just say, hey, like, I really like this thing. And are you open to doing more of it? And that can feel even just sort of, the same way you're like, I don't like cheese. And can you please stop putting cheese in our dinner? Or like...
Such good tips. Oh, that's so funny. That's what I want to stand in that more as I start dating again, too. It's like, I know everything that I am, and I'm asking you to meet me here. So it's like, if you do, fantastic. If not, that doesn't, like with the emotional bartering, like you were saying, that's such something that I would do. It's like, but I want you to be emotionally attracted to me. So I'll fix and adjust to make sure that I keep you here emotionally, even if that means that physically or sexually I'm not getting what I need. That was so true to like how I feel like I've been in the past. So I'm excited to like stand in it, like you said. What are you bringing to the goddamn table?
yeah. And you'll just have better sex. Like I definitely have better sex now because and maybe I'm having less partners or I mean, it's COVID anyways, but I mean, but I definitely am going through more people and kind of being more selective about, are we actually on the same page or am I sort of repeating the patterns of making myself smaller, editing myself, taming myself, that we're all taught in other situations in the bedroom. Because if not, like, why am I here? I can do it better and not have to have small talk and change my sheets.
And clean and everything else. I hate that. Oh, that's so true. Okay, I'm so excited.
Yeah,
this is so fun.
Let's get into some more logistics.
Let's get into logistics. So we're down there. We're focusing. We're given the pleasure. What are some good things to do with your tongue? Like, besides just... what are like your tongue tricks and things that can really like spice it up?
Yeah. So one thing I tell people who are going down on me, if they're too kind of doing that pornolingus thing with their tongue, I'll say, hey, can you make out with my pussy? And so making out for people cues, using their lips and more of this soft sort of sucking type of motion. And that can feel much more, or it can be, clitorises can be more receptive to that because it isn't so pointy and pokey. And a lot of sex toys are actually now being designed with that kind of sucking motion. And so it's bringing more blood flow. It's like giving a mini little blowjob to a clitoris. And that can also get in on the sides of the clitoris where you've got more access to more nerve endings, and it's also helping travel into the other parts of the clitoris that we can't see.
Right.
And so I think like making out with the pussy is a really good one. Another one that I really like is sort of creating a motion with your tongue. So you're going around, let's say, in a circle or an oval around the clitoris and not really touching the actual head of the clitoris itself, but then creating an emphasis on one part of the circle. So you might go all the way around, and at the bottom of the circle, you're going to push your tongue a little bit more. And so it feels like there's a change in that rhythm, and going around and around and around and doing that can really create a lot more erection from the clitoris. So it actually brings more blood flow because it's responding to the contrast in the circle and the pressure. The other thing is if you're like, I don't know what to do, if you have like two moves, even with those two moves, there's like infinite variations of those moves. So play with texture, play with, pressure, play with speed, play with direction, and allow your partner to sink into that rhythm before changing to something else. And you can even get feedback and be like, oh, like, did you like my tongue on the side, or do you like me making out with your pussy? And just do whatever they like. If they're not sure, you can also have your face there and let them grind against your face and use your face as like a little masturbation board. And, noses and chins are also really great to kind of get in there to give a different texture if your tongue gets tired or your lips get tired. And your partner controlling the speed and the direction can give you more sense of what they like.
Right. Well, good thing we talked about shame first, because if you got to push past all that to just stay there. I'm going to use your face for a second.
Yeah.
And show you exactly what I mean.
Yeah. Hold your breath.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Well, that makes me think about like positions.
Yeah.
Which was something I didn't even like think about
I know.
coming into this. Like, what are some different positions that you can be doing? Because, like, we've heard of like sitting on someone's face.
Right.
I guess I've done it, but I worry about breathing.
But yet again, I'm worried about
I
breathing.
worry about, because I do love my partner, and I would like him to live. So yeah, what are some positions?
Well, let's start with face sitting, because I feel like this is one that so many people like, but they're so afraid of, or they're intimidated by, right? That you're going to squish your partner, that they're not going to be able to breathe, that all of your juices are now on their face. Yeah. So like the scent thing comes into play. I think setting up good communication beforehand. So if your partner says, if I can't breathe, I'll tap your leg, or, or I'll squeeze your leg, or give them a bell. I don't know. Like,
The bell. That's the one. That's the one.
A horn.
Yeah, a horn, yeah.
Like a bike horn.
A dog toy or something.
Yeah. A squeaky.
Oh my God.
And trusting, like really just trusting that they're going to tell you if they're about to die. I mean, like, the other tip for face sitting is that put yourself in a position where you've got a wall or like a bedpost so that you can keep some of your weight up when you want to, and then put it back down when you feel more comfortable. And rising your partner's head up by folding a pillow in half and putting it under their neck actually brings them closer to your crotch, so that you don't have to spread your knees as wide, which is uncomfortable for a lot of people, and actually doesn't allow people to have that motion of being up and down. Some people like to be eaten out from behind. That can be a really sexy situation. We just want to remember that if you're also eating ass at that time, that we don't want to mix butt stuff with the vagina. Keep butt stuff in the butt. So pick one hole you're going to play with, and then mouthwash before the other one. But and some people like standing up. Like, I'm far too lazy to be standing up, but I think
that doesn't sound like it's for me. No, it doesn't sound like mine either.
If you're like some sort of, I don't know, Olympic, like, fine, like stand up and like do.
Oh,
if you're trying to meet your stand goal on your Apple Watch. I guess.
That's so funny. Well, a few of these positions make me wonder, like, where we should be focusing. So is the focus of eating out the clitoris, or is there ways to focus on like the labia and the actual opening that feel good? Because to me, it starts to like lose sensation the farther down you go, but maybe that's just them not having the skill to like find the good spot. So where is the best place to be focusing?
Yeah, I love that question. So the problem with only focusing on the clitoris like continuously is that, the clitoris kind of will eventually start to sort of numb out. Like it'll be like, oh, like this sensation is actually too much. So we want to create this tease by approaching the clitoris with a couple of moves and then moving to another area. So whether it's labia, whether it's the vaginal opening, because the clitoris is extending into all of these areas, it's just not as accessible. So we're just seeing the exposed part of the clitoris. So if you're sucking on someone's labia, people love that. That can feel really good. Some people like their labia sort of spread, because then you're getting that contrast of hot and cold. Like if you like onto a labia that's got like spit and juices, and then it's also exposed to the air, that kind of sensation can actually bring more attention in the person that's the receiver. And so if you're someone who gets stuck in your head and you're like, oh, like I love this, but do we have milk? Like, do we have mustard? Does someone do laundry?
Yeah.
You know, like those kinds of moves can bring you back in there. For the vaginal opening, some people like tongue fucking, so putting your tongue in there. And you don't have to go really deep because, I mean, most of the nerve endings are around the opening of the vagina anyways. There's not too much in there. And remembering that there is this, you know, the clitoris might be the most sensitive part, but there's all of this area that might be more sensitive if you were giving it techniques that were more useful to it. And so I love for vaginal openings, like I like putting my chin there and just kind of like, because my chin is much harder than my tongue and it fits kind of perfectly, and just sort of allowing my whole face isn't going to fall into someone's vagina. So it's a pretty, you know, safe kind of move, no penetration.
I've had that happen before with a guy
Somebody's
who had
entire face.
no, their chin.
Oh.
But where it just fell into my vagina.
PSA.
But he had stubble, and I do remember that move, and that is a fun move.
Yeah,
it was
I know
lot
people
of
think
sensation.
stubble's bad, but I think it's so fun. It feels kind of like, like a little texture. Yeah,
I know.
Ribbed.
Ribbed.
Well, in the spirit of mixing it up too, also using fingers, right?
Yeah.
So I love that. But what are some other good, like, just one, just two motions?
What do you do with them? What can you do?
Yeah, what can you do with them?
Yeah, I think most people's automatic inclination is to like take a finger and just like push it as far deep as you can go, and that can feel super great because at the back of the vagina where you've got the cervix, there is an A spot there, so that's another orgasmic spot for some people. For other people, it's too sensitive. I wouldn't go as far back. I think it's great to kind of stay around the front because that's where you're going to access the G spot, which isn't a separate spot, but it's a part of the the clitoris. And so we're trying to stimulate maybe about like 2 knuckles in, or for some people it's 1 knuckle in, and we're curving towards the front of the body, so towards the belly button, whatever position your partner's in, towards the anterior part of the body. And a lot of people do a kind of that jamming in and out kind of motion. Some people like that. I mean, I would say start slower and then warm up, because if you start at a 10, like, where are you going to go, right? Like you really don't have a lot of room to grow. So putting fingers in there and just sort of massaging the G-spot likes firm and continuous pressure. So sometimes fingers are great for that because they're a bit more dexterous. You can kind of move around, you can spread them open, but you might want to bring in a sex toy, like bring in a vibrator, bring in a G-spot toy, so that you have another partner in these like pleasure sensations you're trying to give. And remember, toys don't get tired, right? Like your fingers are eventually going to get tired from that. I've gotten hand cramps. People have gotten hand cramps. Like, so you can bring in accessories, accessories. Yeah.
Accessories. Yeah. It's almost like just the presence of another like fullness is what makes it feel good. So it doesn't even have to be like constantly dancing around. It's just like the fact that there's just more going on is what can feel really good. I've had partners be like offended though when I've asked for fingers because they're like, oh, my mouth isn't like good enough for you.
No, it's not.
No, I prefer a lot more than actually just your slobbery mouth.
Your slobbery little mouth.
Yeah. And then he like wouldn't. He wouldn't do it because it like affected his ego too much.
You're like, we can bring in someone else to do that.
You know
part.
Right?
Actually, fine. I'll just source that out. Get a subcontractor for this work.
There you go.
God damn.
I did have a question because you were saying like with your fingers, just like massaging the G-spot area a little bit. When you mentioned tongue fucking, like what does that necessarily mean? Is that like sticking your tongue in and out, or like what do you do with your tongue in the hole, I guess?
Yeah. You can totally do that sort of like jutting out and pushing in like a lizard. Yeah. And it's going to be just like the very tip of your tongue. It's not going to go very far into someone. And really, most people can't feel the majority of the tongue inside. It's sort of the sexiness, the idea that someone's tongue is in them. Or if you're putting your tongue in and you're moving it around in little circles, that because the vagina is a muscle, muscle. And so we're kind of like stretching out the muscle a little bit with our tongue. And so that brings a sensation. It's a more active sensation to do with your tongue versus kind of just sticking it in and out. And so either circles or even just side to side or up and down can feel really good. It's really tempting when we're trying a new technique to like do everything. So you're like up and down, side to side, around and around. And like, you know, give it a go. Like count. If you kind of rush through things, I rush through things. So I have to count. I'm like, I'm going to do 10 circles.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. You don't want to try too many things at once. I just spit as I said that, but still.
You're salivating.
I know.
Yeah, you're ready.
I'm ready.
You also mentioned breathing.
Oh, yeah.
Like adding in a bit of air.
Mm-hmm.
Are there like more ways to incorporate breath?
Mm-hmm.
Straight on
Yeah.
the clip.
Yeah.
Like you're starting a fire.
Yeah.
Just gotta warm it up and then blow on it.
Pretty much.
Yeah. That's it. We got it.
Well, you can do that motion of kind of blowing in a circle around the clitoris. You can blow up and down, so spreading the labia and just like blowing up and down. It just even exhaling, because the sound of our breath is also such a turn on for our partners, and it calms us down. So if you're getting in your head about something, you know, just opening up and like exhaling onto their exposed areas of their vulva, that can feel super, super hot. The other thing you can do with breath is combine it with, you know, sort of like the surrounding area of the vulva. So I call the area where your like thigh and your crotch, that little crevice, you know, it's like a sweat catcher, right?
Yeah.
Like there's just like sweat in there. And so I like going down on people and sort of licking that area and then exhaling and then inhaling them and being like, oh, you smell so good. And someone's going to giggle, they're going to smile, but they're going to get shaken out of like, oh, like, do I stink? Do I like not taste good? Do I do whatever? So you can also use breath as communication and really just like expressing like, oh, like I can't like get enough of you down here.
That would. We're both like,
That would do it.
Right? That would do it.
Yeah, that sounds good. So this has been so informative. And is there any last like things we should avoid? You said the darting tongue. So are there any like big mistakes that you could hit when going down there?
Yes. If something is working, do not switch to something else. I think that a lot of times something will be working and someone will be like, oh, well, I got more. Let me try something else.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be, I know a lot of people have learned like do the alphabet with your tongue or, you know, the most important thing is to really see what's working for your partner. So tune into those breath changes, you know, tune into those moans. And if they're not communicative, if they're more of a quiet partner, you can kind of say like, oh, like show me what you like, or like tell me what you like, or, you know, grab my head if you like something, or squeeze my hand if something feels good. And then you can tune into all those nonverbal cues. I think for a lot of people, the mere, even if you have like not a ton of skill, but you're approaching this with curiosity and like, teach me how to eat you. That is so much hotter than someone who kind of comes in with like, yeah, I got all the moves and my tongue is the best. And like, and I'm like, well, is it really?
No, I feel like it's not.
I think a lot of people will have found something that works on somebody else's body and then assume that that's going to work on everybody's body. And that can make you feel like a failure. I had someone say to me, oh, I guess it takes you quite a long time to come from this. And I was like, or you're just not doing what's good. Like, and I'm not telling you like what's good. So it can also be hard to figure out what you like. So in masturbation, that's where it's really important to figure out with your fingers, with toys, do I like the left side of my clit? Do I like the right side? Do I like penetration? What does my labia do for me? And so like getting really comfortable with like, ooh, a little to the left, that can feel like your body knows. Your body will help you remember that sensation and give you the confidence to communicate that.
I think those are all phenomenal tips.
I came up with 2 questions that I think will be kind of quick, but I have to get them answered. The first one, so we talked about fingering, but like what else can you do with your hands? Like there's other stuff too, right? Like touching somebody's body. Like, what are some things that people should be doing? Because I know I like other stuff too.
Yes, yes. So with hands, you can also do stuff on the external like parts of the vulva. So we can use our knuckles because that gives a different texture as well. And there's a technique called knuckling, which is pretty much you start at the vagina with 2 knuckles and you're just sort of kind of rubbing or squiggling your knuckles into the vagina and then moving your knuckles up towards the urethra and then around the clitoris. And so it's giving this like pressured, very specific massage over and over again to the clitoris, and that can bring up all this more more blood flow, where it just makes things more sensitive and more receptive. And I think when you're down there, feeling someone's hips, grabbing their hips, I like to wrap my hands around someone's thighs, wrapping someone around their butt cheeks, dragging your hands up their body while you're licking a little bit, like popping up and like looking up and making eye contact and coming up for air and then going back down. But taking your hands to explore other parts of their body and even holding their hands. I like holding someone's hands while they're going down on me when I'm on my back so that I can communicate with my hands. Like squeezing is going to be like, yes, like that's so good. Like do more of whatever you're doing. You can also use your hands on yourself. And so if you want to get more self-pleasure, like touch yourself, touch your vulva, touch your penis while you're touching somebody else's.
I love that you've brought up a couple like hand signals, because that's another one that I didn't think of, is like how to like communicate that you're liking it. So I think the ones that you've brought up are so good to remember too.
Yeah, I love you've mentioned like a few things of what to do as the receiver, because like obviously you want to like be there and just like enjoy it and receive, but I also like that there's like some active things that you can be doing. So my other quick question then is breathing. Are you just breathing out of your nose the whole time, except for when you're like trying to incorporate your breath?
Oh, like when you're just down.
Like actually, like how are you breathing when you're down there?
Yeah. So sometimes you're not breathing. I think sometimes you're holding your breath and you're doing things, especially if you're doing something with your mouth and your nose is sort of buried as well. So some people will hold their breath. Other people will breathe through their nose and then use their mouth for stuff. That's why it's also good to even consider like using your nose and taking a breath. So squiggle that nose like up around the vagina and the clitoris. And it does take practice. Like I remember seeing a lot of memes going around about people who didn't want to wear masks, and it's like obviously you don't go down and eat pussy because you're not down there long enough. And I was like, yeah, like this is like it is a little bit harder to breathe. So it's okay to come up for air and also use your hands in that moment and just stay there. Like take your break and stay there and like touch them and look at them and move your hands around them. Keep the sensation going and then bring your face back down when you're comfortable too.
Okay. I love it. Yeah. I feel like it's those like logistic questions that like,
those
I'm
are
like,
our
okay,
specialty.
but really when we get to like that specific thing, that's the thing that pops into my head. Like, okay, but how? Like, how does that work? What am I supposed to do there? What are they supposed to? Yeah. So
no, it makes sense.
thank
Yes,
you.
you're right.
Okay, well, we have gotten to the point in our episode where we like to do homework for honeys, where we talk about actionable steps that we can all take to start incorporating everything we talked about in going down on someone. So, Luna, would you do the honor of assigning us some homework this week?
Yes. So I have homework for the giver and homework for the receiver.
Beautiful.
So for the givers, I want you to face fuck a piece of fruit. And the reason we're going to do this is you're going to find some kind of soft fruit, like something, even a strawberry, right? And so we've all been taught to eat really proper, like we don't get anything on our clothes. I want you to put on something you don't care about getting strawberry juice on and get messy, like really like face fuck that fruit and let the juices drip down your skin, like see the scent all over your top lip, feel the stickiness, because really you can clean it up after, right? And so that's what we want to sink into, is that these sensations don't have to be sanitized, that we can have these like really slutty like sensation experiences as using our 5 senses as these little portals of pleasure. And so the more that you get comfortable even doing things that are not necessarily erotic, but like getting comfortable using your senses to give you pleasure, then that's a game changer. That's where you get to shift into like, yeah, my senses are hungry. Like, give me whatever is in here. So face fucking some fruit. And then for the receivers, I think what many receivers need is really just a lot more opportunities to feel yourself, like to really feel like you have something to offer in terms of pleasure and that you deserve pleasure. And so I want you to find something every day, something that is a sensual experience. So whether it's from washing the dishes and you happen to notice like, oh, like this is like kind of sudsy on my hands, or that like lavender that's not what my pussy smells like, but this smells like lovely. And so pleasure is really about finding joy in these mundane moments. It's like opening up your senses to see what joy is available. I have tons of orchids, I have plants, and I wake up every morning and I look at them and just like worship them. I love how beautiful they are. And that's a sensory experience. And so once we learn to tune into those senses more and more and more as a regular practice, it's so much easier to be a receiver in the bedroom. And so, look in the mirror and give yourself like a wink, you're washing your hands, like just like, take in your awesomeness, take in your cutiness, like take in like your playfulness, allow yourself to get more playful.
That is some of the best homework I think we've ever got.
Oh my God, that was phenomenal.
So excited about that. I'm so excited for people to hear it.
Well, thank you so much. Where can our listeners continue to connect with you after the episode?
Yeah. You can find me at lunamatatas.com. I teach like 30 different on-demand webinars on different topics. And I also host a podcast all about anal sex. I don't know what my life is. Again, don't tell my mom. And that's sponsored by B-Vibe. And so if you're interested in butt stuff, come over and hear about prostates and anal play over there. And you can also check out my YouTube channel. There's a bunch of free content around feminine dominance, sex toys, all kinds of stuff on there.
Amazing. I can't wait to listen to your podcast.
So much, Luna. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yep, that's me. Fruit. Fucking face fucking a fruit.
Face fucking a goddamn grapefruit.
I remember actually seeing a picture of this guy I liked in college, and he posted a picture of him eating like a nectarine, and it was really juicy. And I remember being turned on by that. So I think Luna's advice tracks.
Here's a little hot dating tip. So we've been on Bumble a lot this weekend.
Because we're bored. Not because I like it.
Emma begs constantly, can we just go on Bumble a little bit longer?
I was literally falling asleep.
I know.
As you guys were on Bumble last night.
I know. Anyways, I think instead of fish pics, it should be fruit pics.
Ooh, that is good.
Yeah, specifically citrus.
Also,
obviously.
because there are some guys who post fish pics and their fish is inches.
Mere inches.
If we are just mirroring what we got going on, if that's what these fish are supposed to be doing, is to show you what's in our undercarriage,
then honestly, those are the ones that I would go for, because the other ones would be absolute terrorage.
You don't want the rainbow trout inside of you?
That's an act of terrorism.
Show me your rainbow trout. You're fucking packing.
That would just be ginormous.
Packing bass.
But you know what?
Catfish.
Whatever
there.
size you got,
yeah,
happy for you. Whatever trout you got betwixt your legs.
Whatever's swimming upstream.
Whatever swimmers you got.
Honestly. Anyway, thank you, Luna, for coming back on. I mean, you've been on multiple times now.
Yeah, 3 times.
And thank you to our listeners for hanging out on this second summer rewind of July.
Yeah. Like I said before, we'll be back full swang in September.
Flashing
Fish
and
is
all.
out.
Fish is out.
Show
me your gills.
Show me your gills. You can head on over to Apple Podcasts to rate, review, and subscribe to Honeydew. You can also rate us on Spotify and apparently answer questions about episodes. That's the thing there. It says, how did you like this? And
Ooh.
that's where we've learned a lot. Like, Emma's voice is great, and some people don't.
And some people don't.
Yeah, and that's all she wrote.
Yep. We'll see you next week for a short little catch up.
Yeah. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.